Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into Polars LazyFrame. A lazy frame is a data structure supported by polars. A lazy frame in polars is a powerful abstraction that allows us to build complex data queries without immediately executing them. So this means that we can define a series of operations and polars will optimize and execute them efficiently when it is being required. Lazy evaluation is great for performance because it lets us delay the computation until the results are actually needed. We can say that lazy frame is basically a deferred data frame. So now let's deep dive into this notebook. So the first step is we are going to import polars. So I have used this import polars as PL and I have printed the version. Now we are going to create a lazy frame. So for creating a lazy frame, there are a number of ways in which we can do it. So I have mentioned here three ways, which is actually the three ways in which we can create a lazy frame. So the first step is using the scan CSV method. So what I have done here is I have used this pl.scancf method and I have specified the path of the dataset. I am using the same Kaggle dataset. The link of this dataset will be provided in the video below. Now you can see here it's a lazy frame. I find out the data type by using the type method. Now other way of creating the lazy frame is from an existing polars data frame. So we are going to create a polar data frame by using the read CSV method, the same data set, Kaggle data set. Now what I'm doing, I'm using this dot lazy method. So what will happen? This is going to convert the polars data frame into a kind of a lazy frame data frame. So now the type you can see here, it's showing that it is a lazy frame dot frame lazy frame. Now other way is like we can use the pl dot lazy frame method if we want to create a lazy frame from the scratch. So then we can use this particular lazy frame method. So here I want a lazy frame which contains the columns name, age, salary, and with the following values respectively. So you can see here this is also a kind of a lazy frame. Now the next thing is, which is very much important section of this particular video, is the what are the common lazy frame methods. So the first thing is like when we the most of the methods of the lazy frame are similar to the data frame methods, but there is a slight difference. So my goal is to make you understand what is the difference between both of them. So the first step you can see here is when I do this operation, lazydf.head. So usually in the case of pandas data frame, what will happen? It is going to give you the 5 records. So first 5 records of the data frame. But here it's giving me a warning. So basically, it's not giving, it's this warning message is showing the naive plan, which naive plans means here is like the message is showing that the initial or the naive version of the query plan, like how it's going to a kind of a preliminary view before any optimization has been applied. Next is like this is a kind of a helpful tip suggesting that we can get more refined and optimized version of the query plan by calling the explain method with the optimized is equal to true parameter. So that we are going to see when we are going to when I'm going to explain when I'm going to show you the explain method. The other thing is you can see this is slice offset 0 9. So it's showing that it's going to perform this particular operation. So this part of the plan indicates that it's going to do the slice operation. Specifically, it's showing that the query is slicing the data starting from index 0 and selecting 5 rows. This is typically used to limit the number of rows in the output. And that's what the head method does. Now then it is showing that this shows that these are the columns which is being selected, since it's selecting all the 12 columns which is being present here. So basically whatever the head operation does, it gives us the 5 records of all the columns. So this kind of warning message, when you apply it on the any method on this lazy df, it's going to give us a kind of a warning message that this is the operations which we are going to perform. It's in a deferred mode. It has not actually done the computation. Okay. So now if we want to see the results, so what will happen? We are going to use the collect method. So it's the same method, lazydf.head.collect. So it's going to give us the first 5 records, which is the actual function of a head. So the collect method here is basically if we want to trigger the execution of any operation which is being defined for a lazy frame. Okay, so then we have to use this collect method. So collect method triggers the execution of all operations defined on a lazy frame and returns the result in a kind of a data frame. Please remember, the resulting data is not a lazy frame data. The returning data here is a kind of a data frame. It's in the form of a polars data frame. We can also use the parameter streaming. Streaming is equal to true option for the collect method. You can see here I've used the streaming is equal to true. So this is showing that that the lazy frame allows you to handle data in a streaming fashion rather than loading all the data into memory at once. When you set streaming is equal to true, Polars, what it does, it processes the data in chunks and then loading the entire data set into memory. This means that the data is handled in a smaller and more manageable portion. Next is we are going to talk about is the fetch method. So if you want to do a kind of a fetch method, so basically fetch methods is is used to retrieve the result of a lazy frame computation. This means that this method allows you to execute the computation defined by the lazy operations and obtain the resulting data frame. So here, this is this is my data frame, lazy df. I just want to get the first 5 records. So I'm getting the first 5 records. It's not only this. Let's say if you have performed certain operations, chain of operations, okay, and then you get and the result is a kind of a lazy frame data frame. So in that case, you can use the fetch method to get the record. Get the record, or you can just get the whole record. You can just get the only in a limited number of records. Next is the collect schema method. So collect schema method is basically it's just similar to the Polars data frame method. It's going to give you the name of the columns and their data types. There's also one method which is called as the with columns method. So with column methods is used to uh, add or modify columns in lazy frame. This method allows us to specify the transformations that should be applied to one or more column and to create new columns based on these transformations. So it operates in a lazy manner, meaning that the transformation are not executed immediately but are deferred until and unless an action like a fetch or collect method is being used. So you can see here it's being used alongside the collect method. um, Now, the other option here is uh, in Polars, we have we have one more thing here I wanted to show you is like suppose you are performing a chain of operations. You can see here we are performing so many operations here. We are performing the selecting the columns, then performing certain mathematical operations. Then we are using the pivot function. Then we are using this lazy filter method. Okay, so what my point here is sometimes when we are doing any kind of an operations on lazy data frame, and there is an operation which we want to perform, but that particular operation is being not supported by lazy data frame. So in that case, what we can do, for example, you can see here, first what we are doing, we are getting the columns from the lazy data frame. We are applying this logic of multiplying the annual premium column by 2 and changing the name of the resulting column is by to double premium. Okay. Now next we are using this dot collect method. So please remember when we use this dot collect method till here, the result will be in the form of a data frame. The resulting result will be in the form of a data frame. And then we are using the pivot method because pivot method is being supported by the data frame, but not by the lazy data frame. So we have performed this pivot method. Okay. But then again, we have to perform this filter method. So what we are doing, we are again converting our data frame back to the resulting data frame back to the lazy, and then we are filtering the operations. And in the end, we are doing the collect method. So this is a way in which we can perform a chain of operations. We can include multiple methods which are not being supported by the lazy data frame. But what we can do after performing that operations, we can convert it back to the lazy data frame by using the dot lazy methods. So this was my main motive to show that how we deal with the operations which are not present in the lazy data frame. Next is the explain method. So when we talk about the explain method, it's a way of to inspect the execution plan of the data frame. So this can help us. To understand how the lazy computations will be executed and optimized. So when I this is my query Q1, and this is what I'm going to do. So it's going to give me that what is the query plan, how it's going to execute the this particular operations step by step. So here what I'm doing here is you can see here I have used the optimization is equal to false. So when I say optimization is equal to false, so it means that Polars will provide the execution plan before optimization are applied. This shows the initial plan for your query as written without considering any optimization. But when we use uh, just simply explain, so by default, the optimized value will be true. So when it is being true, Polars will provide the execution plan after optimization have been applied. So this is useful for understanding how the system will actually execute the query after applying any internal optimization to improve the performance. So this is an optimized query, how the system is going to perform. So this is about the explain method with optimization parameter as true and false. Please remember, by default, the value is true. Next methods are the same methods which we have discussed earlier also, but again I'm going to discuss it. So first start with the attribute methods. So the first method is the columns. We can just get the column names by using just dot columns. We can get the data types of the lazy data frame by using the dd types. We can also get the schema. Then the schema is going to give us the column names and the data types. We can also find out the width. Width is basically the total number of columns present in the lazy data frame. Next is the descriptive method. So descriptive method, no, we know that the dot describe method is going to give us the 5-point summary or kind of a descriptive statistics of the data frame. For the lazy data frame. So here it will give us the count, null count, what is the mean of medium, standard deviation, first percentile, median or second percentile, and then the third percentile, and then the maximum value for all the respective columns. Next is the aggregate method. So we know that aggregate methods are being used. So whenever we are using any aggregate method, please remember to not to forget to use the collect method. So after the aggregate method, the collect should be used so that, and if you don't use the collect method, it will only show the execution plan in the form of a warning. It's not going to show you the actual result. So if you want to use any kind of a aggregate methods, please use the collect method after that. Okay. So if I want to find out the count, so then then you will give the count. So don't forget to use the similar way. We can find out the maximum value, median, null count, and the sum values, the variance and standard deviations, different kind of mathematical operations. But we have to use it should be succeeded by the collect method so that we can get the actual results. Okay, and please remember the actual results are in the form of a data frame. It's not a lazy data frame. The output is always a data frame. Next is the group by method. So basically, group by methods are used alongside the aggregate methods. So we can use this, like you can see here, group by gender, and then I'm using the aggregate function. Then I'm using the aggregate function of sum. So it's going to give us plus. Please don't forget with group by also, because since it's using the aggregate function also, we have to use this collect method. So here I'm getting the sum of policy sales channel for gender values of male and female respectively. We can also find out the all method. So you can see here all. So it's going to find out for all the columns for male and female respectively, all the values for other columns. We can also find out the length by using this collect method. So it's going to give us the total number of count. You can see here count method. Then we have the first method. So it's going to give us the display the first values of male and female with respect to other columns. Then we have the number of unique values. So with respect to gender, how many unique values are there? Then we have certain manipulation and selection methods. So first one is the select method. So also remember that for manipulation and selection methods, we are all going to use this. After using the manipulation method, we are going to use this collect method. Okay, so to trigger the actual output. So here we are selecting the annual premium with the help of the select method. We can select multiple columns also from the data frame. Then we have the join operations. We can also perform the join operations. So these are the two data frames which I have created. I can perform the join operation, full join. But again, you see here, I've used the collect to get the actual output. Then the left join can also be done. Semi join can also be done. Anti join can also be done. And even we can do a slicing. So I have provided dot slice method. So provided 6 and 3, which means that it's going to start from index 6 and it is going to take 3 elements. So 6, 7, 8, you can see here 3 elements is being taken. And for obviously we are using the collect method to get the actual output. Then we can also do the rename. So I have changed the region code name to location code. You can see here the name has been changed. Then is the interpolate. Interpolate is a way of handling the missing values with or replacing the missing values with the intermediate values. So for that purpose, we use the interpolate method. So it is going to fill all the null values in all the columns with the intermediate values. Next is the filter method. So filter method is there. We can provide our logic, whatever logic which we want, on what logic or what condition we want to filter our data, and then gender is equal to female, pl dot driving license equal to 1.0, and collect. So this way we are going to filter out the data. We can also drop a particular column using the drop method. So I want to drop ID, I can drop it. I can also drop multiple columns. And then I have dropped age and driving license, and then dot collect method to get the actual data. Then we have the miscellaneous methods. So miscellaneous method, the first important method is the profile. So basically in the profile method is used to generate the profiling information about a data frame. So it provides the insights into the data structure and content. This is useful for understanding the distribution, types, and statistics of the data within a data frame. So if you have looked into this particular library, pandas profiling, so pandas profiling also does it in the same way. So the output here is a kind of a tuple, and this tuple will contain all the details, like what is the gender, how many values are there, ID, this count, this is the values. Okay, so this is how this is going to give us based upon the logic which we have provided. So we are grouping it by gender. You can see here it is grouping by gender, and order. We are maintaining it in the order, and then we are calculating the sum. So we are calculating the sum and then sorting the based on the gender. So this is how we can do it. You can do your own logic, and you can get the data. So this is basically profile is going to give us everything in a kind of a summary. Then is the pipe method. So pipe method everybody knows because we have discussed this earlier also. So when we want to perform multiple operations, or when we want to apply a custom function to a lazy frame within a lazy query, this is useful for modularizing your code by breaking down complex data transformation into kind of a smaller or more manageable function. So here what we have done, we have created a data frame, lazy frame, data frame. We are added this method, customize method, to add the two columns. Then we are filtering rows also using this condition. And then we are performing the pipe method and adding the customized method accordingly of add new column and filter rows. And this is going to be our final result. So this was all about lazy frame methods. Please remember this data structure is very much important. And when you are building machine learning pipelines and working on the polars, this is going to really help you in optimizing your operations. So thanks everyone for joining, and please let me know in comment section, like did you like this video or not? And if you have any questions, or if you want me to make a tutorial on any other topic, just let me know accordingly. Thanks a lot.